Welcome to Real Estate Investing for Life. I'm so glad you're here today. We get to do an interview with someone that I have met over the last couple of years, and you guys are going to enjoy this. I'm going to give you a little story on Tom Zeeb. I've learned a little bit about him, and back in 2001, Tom was broke and stuck in a 9-to-5 job, and I've got some similar stories that I could tell about that. But Tom, I want to hear more about this, but I know that you talked about a near-death experience that you had that really pushed you into this field called real estate investing. And here you are, hundreds of deals later, coming to join us here in Boise, Idaho soon, which I'm so excited about. I want to hear more about your story. And first of all, welcome to the show, Tom.
Thanks. Good to be here.
Yeah, you're recording this from Sarasota, Florida. Is that right?
Correct.
Lovely. One of the most beautiful places in the world. Before we get too far into this, I want to frame this because if you're watching, you are probably someone that is very much looking at the idea of passive investing or wondering what kind of investing is right for you. And Tom, you speak to a very specific type of investor. Who would you say is your ideal person to listen to what you have to talk about right now?
The ideal person is any investor for any exit strategy, but that when they're aware that they need to find more deals and be able to make more deals. So basically, they need to improve their marketing and improve their negotiation skills. That's the key. After that, it's, I do some buy and hold, I do some rehabbing, I do some wholesaling. It's all those things share the same thing in common. You have to market to find them. You have to negotiate to make them.
Awesome. So really a wide swath, it sounds like. You may not have the same exit strategy, but we all know that a deal is made on the buy, right?
Correct.
Yeah. Can you give me just a high level picture of what your experience is and how you came into what you have to teach us today?
Yeah. So you hinted at it a little bit. I had a 9-to-5 job. This is going back to, early 2000s, let's say 2000, 2001. I had a day job that I felt totally stuck in. Of course, they weren't paying me enough and there wasn't enough time in the day. And then, they moved the office 45 minutes further away. All this other stuff went wrong. And I added it up and I was massively in debt from college loans and car loans and apartment. But let's be honest, I was massively in debt from being a really fiscally irresponsible young kid. And I was 113 grand in the hole. I went,
Oh,
how do
wow.
you get out of 113 grand in debt? Without a gun or white powder or something, really wrong.
It's
I
not
went,
by
"Well,
not drinking Starbucks once a day. Yeah.
correct. Well, that would help, right?
Yeah, but it's a
wasn't
slow, slow burn.
Yeah, you could pay off some debt fast, knocking that out. And I did the only thing I knew how to do. I walked in my boss's office and I took 2 weeks off and went on a massive boys trip vacation with my buddies to go whitewater rafting in India and just
Oh my
ignore
gosh.
all my problems because what could possibly go wrong? Just stick my head in the sand, go have some fun, forget about everything. Well, we're whitewater rafting in India and we're going through a rough class 5 rapid and I went flying off of that boat and I got sucked under the river and I'm down there not able to breathe and not knowing what's going on and which way is up, down, sideways, anything. And the fear suddenly went away and it was just replaced by anger. Like, what the heck have I done? I've done nothing but go into debt. And my idea of getting out of it was to just escape. That's crazy. That's stupid. That was so wrong. And then I'm kind of like frustrated by that. And I'm going, I get out of this, something's going to be different. You know what? I want to be an entrepreneur. I want to be on my own. I'm going to figure out how to do that. But then, Jonna, I came out of the water. All my friends were laughing at me. That was still on focus. Apparently, I had this ridiculous look on my face, but I swore like something's changed. This is great. I'm going to go back home. Things are going to be totally awesome. Well, I got back home and nothing had changed. Well, other than I was like another $1,500 in debt from the cost of the trip. That was just more on the credit cards. And I still didn't have a clue what to do until a friend of mine handed me a book out of the blue. They handed me a copy of Robert Kiyosaki's Rich Dad, Poor Dad, a book that
It's called the Bible of Real Estate.
yeah, it pretty much is, isn't it? It gets so many people like it. It made me snap. I went right back to the way I felt when I was drowning, but now I felt like I had an answer because Rich Dad says, "Hey, just go buy cash flowing real estate."
Yeah.
What could possibly go wrong? Particularly when there's no real how to information in that book. It's what to do, but not
Right.
how to
It
do
plants
it.
the seed. Yeah.
It plants the seed, and that seed started to grow, but it had no idea what to do and which direction it had. And I went and bought a 6-unit building in landlord-friendly New York City, which made no sense. Where my sister was living, I'm originally from Buffalo, New York. My sister had moved
Okay.
to New York City. I had moved to Washington, D.C. Again, armed with nothing but that book, we bought this 6-unit building. Nobody was paying a thing. I was drowning all over again. This time even worse financially. So it was when I finally got out of all of that, and I had found my local version of Read in the DC area. And there were all these actual investors doing things, not just people in books. And I thought, oh, wow, there's a way out of this. And so when I got out from under that 6-unit building, I thought I was going to head into rehabbing. Luckily, I had a really good deal under contract that I was planning on rehabbing. And one of the guys at the group said, I want to buy that from you right now. And I thought, but I'm not done with it yet. He goes, no. I don't think you know what you're doing, kid. And he was right. I had no idea. So he said, look, just assign your contract to me and I'll take it over right now. And I assigned my contract, not even knowing what I was doing. And I got almost 23 grand for it. I think it was $22,819.66. And that's what changed my life.
Wow. That's so cool. A lot of people get their start, they try to get their start with wholesaling, and you sound like you kind of hit it all in all cylinders. You bought a sixplex, you did wholesaling, so you've done all kinds of facets of investing, correct?
Yes.
That's cool. So bringing it back to like what you're teaching now and what you're excited about, what are you excited about sharing with people when you speak to them right now about how to get started in this thing called real estate investing?
I'm excited to get people to double down, triple down, quadruple down on what it takes to find more deals and make more deals. So
Okay.
if you're struggling, if you're a buy and hold investor, you're a landlord, awesome. If you're a rehabber, awesome. If you're anything else, awesome. Everybody needs to find more deals. So we've got to get better at finding deals. So I'm excited to be teaching everyone that. But then the leads that you are getting, they don't automatically turn into deals. You have to make them into deals. You got to learn how to take a lukewarm lead and turn it into a red hot deal. And you do that by negotiating. And negotiation, if you do it right, is not high pressure sales. It's not awkward. It doesn't have to feel goofy. I want to teach it to everyone in a way that's going to fit them like a glove, no matter what their personality is. If you're hyperactive and loud, or if you're really quiet and meek and soft, the techniques are going to fit you, because the techniques I'm going to teach everyone are based on science, not on art, right? So the art is the way you do it, but the science is just the fact that using these techniques will work because it's based on human psychology and the way people talk and the way people think. So my goal then with the negotiation I'm going to be teaching you is to get more people to say yes to you and say yes at better numbers than you otherwise would have had. So you're going to get more deals at better prices.
Gotcha. That makes a lot of sense. I come from a real estate agent background, and for many years I did lots and lots of deals as a real estate agent. And we always talked about negotiating starting at the very beginning, and it would come down to like even what we charge for our services and learning negotiation on that. And then, of course, negotiate on the deals on behalf of our buyers and sellers. But I think it sounds like even if someone was in that space, like maybe even real estate agents would have a lot to learn related to negotiating. It's applicable in everything, even with your kids.
Well, absolutely. Yeah. So one of the first principles is you have to recognize you're negotiating all the time, whether you know
Right.
it or realize. So yeah, anyone that's married or has a significant other or has kids, you're negotiating. So you might as well learn to get better at it. And in terms of real estate agents, I mean no offense by saying this, but the
Hey,
number
none
of times-
taken.
Okay. But
I don't identify as much as with that anymore.
Okay, I got you. But look, the number of times that I have a real estate agent tell me that's not going to work. We don't do things like that. Oh, I'm like, well, I'm not asking you to do anything wrong. It just maybe feels a little funny because some of the techniques are kind of unique and
Right.
interesting, and they come across
Right.
different. And I'm always told it doesn't work. And then it does work, even with a listed property, even when it's not me doing it directly, because I have to have my agent do it to the other agent, and yet it still all works. So
Yeah.
we'll have plenty of those examples when I see you at the REIN events.
Oh, I love that. Well, let's bring this into today's market.
Yeah.
I heard you on a video the other day talking about like things that are working in today's market. Today's market is different. It's different than 2001 for you, 2003 for me when I got started into investing. For someone who's really serious about doing deals right now, what is working in today's market?
Yeah, excellent question, because it's not just throwing mud at a wall and knowing something is going to stick. We've got to be
Right.
a little more surgical, a little more by design rather than by default. So, what I want to show people how to do is get surgical with your marketing, get like specifically targeted to find the right kind of market, and then get the message to market match correct. So, we're going to say the right things to the right people at the right time, and we're going to get a higher level of response because of that. And what's interesting is, the number of people that say, "Oh, well, it's not happening anymore. The market's down, or no one's thinking about it, or no one can get the price. The prices are sitting too long." And all I'm going is, "Hey, folks, that's good, because then they have less options. If a seller becomes motivated because of some problem they're having, and they need to sell to solve their problem, even more than they want to sell, then the fact that they have less options and it's more difficult for them makes their problem worse, which makes dealing with an investor even better and even more attractive." So to me, like, everything that people seem to be using as excuses for why they shouldn't wait, I actually think is quite the opposite. That's the exact reason it's going so well right now.
Oh, I love that. It's kind of reverse engineering it.
Yeah.
And I agree. I think when there's just clarity is
Yes.
huge. And when we have the right person, you've got that skill set where you can provide clarity for someone that makes a huge amount of difference. Tom, so for someone listening who's thinking, I really want to do this, but I don't even know where to start. I don't know what to focus on. I want to do deals. What's the starting point?
Okay. So that starting point is going to be a little bit different for, if you're a raw beginner or a little bit in or intermediate or advanced. What's cool is at the events that I'm doing with you and what I'm teaching is we have a specific process to identify where you're at and where you individually are stuck. Therefore, where you need unstucking. And that's different. It's going to be different for everyone in the room. And yet I'll bring you through a process where everybody individually figures out what it is for them, because you might already, have some sort of marketing savvy. You might already be a decent negotiator. You might already have your operation down, or totally not. So we got to
Mhm.
figure out where it is that you're stuck so we can get you unstuck, and where it is that you're accelerating already so we can focus on that as well. And I want to bring everything up to a level where it starts to work for you, because it's not rocket science. We just got to get it right. And getting it right in real estate investing, it can literally start to change everything for you fast. I know it sounds like a cliche. There's all this, "But it'll change your life." Well, but the thing is, it will. When you
Yeah.
get this done right, everything can radically change quickly. How many deals do you need to do before you're in a totally different financial picture? Or how many deals do you need to do before you could kiss the job goodbye if you wanted to? All those things are very reachable when you do things right.
Totally. I like what you mentioned, like figuring out how many deals you need to do. I love the concept of really people figuring out their enough number. Like, what is it? Because I think you need to be focused on that financial big picture in the end and why you're doing this. Because the truth is, I mean, real estate can be very simple, but it's not always easy. How important do you think it is to really focus on that end goal and why you're doing this in the first place?
Well, I think that's huge at the beginning. You got to know why. I mean, if you don't have a big enough why, you're probably not going to stick through it. When you think about it, like, a lot of people say, "Oh, well, if it were that easy, why doesn't everybody do it?" Well, because most people can't stand being told no. Or most people, they'll quote unquote try it one time, they get rejected and they go, "See, that doesn't work." Or that bruises them or their ego. And rather than stick to it and try it a second time, a third time, a fourth time, a fifth time, or whatever it takes, they run and hide and go lick their wounds. That's why it doesn't work for most people. So they don't have a big enough why. When you have a big enough
Right.
reason why, when there's something that you really want and you desperately want that change, then you're going to tolerate that little bit of rejection a lot more at the beginning. And quite honestly, that's the key.
Gotcha. Yeah, I think it's so right. Even in our organization, and I'll talk about this in a second, you and I are both leaders of basically real estate investing associations. I own Idaho Reen, and you, Tom, what are your organizations? Got
Traction RIA, Traction Real Estate
Traction,
Investors
Traction
Association.
RIA in multiple locations, which I love. And for you listening and watching this right now, I wanted to let you know that Tom and I met through the National RIA Leadership Association, where we come together and figure out how to create better opportunities for all of our investors in our local areas. And so it's so cool. And I love that you come endorsed and as a valuable part of National RIA, which we're also fortunate to be a part of.
People get a lot more out of National RIA than they realize, like the lobbying efforts and the legislative protection for the industry, a lot of which I have responsibility for 4 states, and I do federal work with that as well.
Oh, really? That's awesome.
Somebody's got to be looking out for real estate investors, because it's the agents have their group, but who do investors have? We have National RIA.
Yeah. Yeah, I love it. Well, Tom, I really appreciate that you're doing all of that on behalf of National RIA and on behalf of all of us as investors. And that's part of why I am excited about bringing you to Boise, Idaho. If you're listening to this in real time, Tom has not come yet. So there's time for you to come join us. We're doing our Idaho RIA Connection event is May 12th. And we've decided to make that absolutely free for everyone. So I want as many people to be able to experience you as I have the pleasure of knowing you, and to learn a ton along the way. I know you're packing powerful content into 90 minutes on that day. And then next, for those of you that are really like looking at this seriously and how can I get to the next level and how can I do these deals, Tom, tell us what we have going on the 16th.
Yeah, the 16th. So I have a couple of goals. My goal on the 12th, on the Tuesday, I've only got 90 minutes, but I still put a big punchy goal in place. I want to make you, by the time you leave on the Tuesday evening, an exponentially better negotiator than you walked in. So no matter where you are in terms of being a good negotiator, I want you walking out really darn good, great. Okay. So that's my goal on the Tuesday. I'm going to be teaching you some very specific things to make that happen, specific things that you're able to use immediately. Then when we get to Saturday, instead of just 90 minutes, I've got you from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. So
Yep.
we got all day together, and we'll go deeper in negotiating. I'm going to dig deep into marketing. Like, what does it take to find deals? Where are the best places in today's market to find deals, to find motivated sellers? How do you connect with those motivated sellers, get them contacting you so that you can negotiate to get them to say yes? And then what kind of systems do we need? Systems in place to manage deals through the inevitable conflicts and control them so that we can actually get paid.
Getting paid. That's a key part of it, you know?
Yeah,
Real estate's
can't
fun,
leave
but we're
that
not
part
always doing it just for fun. And I just have to say that about the getting paid part. Tom, you're bringing huge value, and I appreciate you coming all the way out here. And as someone who is a leader of an organization and working with lots of investors, I see a lot of noise out there and a lot of fluff and a lot of gurus and a lot of people that are, you know, really more of a marketing machine than the nitty gritty and having been there in the field experiencing. And I appreciate you coming and bringing your real world experience, insight, and value to the Idaho community. We're really looking forward to it.
Awesome. One more thing.
Yeah.
This, again, apologies if you're not watching this on video, you're only listening on audio. This is a 41-page workbook. I'm bringing this for everybody that is at the Saturday. Everybody at the Saturday will get one of these, and we will be building this workbook as we go through the day. So all you need is a pen, but I'm sure we'll have pens for you too. And there's a reason to do it this way instead of electronically. There's something about old school pen and paper that is really going to help lock in what I'm teaching. And I have a kind of funky way of teaching it's a little bit abnormal. I draw everything out. Everything's drawn out in these frameworks that are different shapes and circles and squares, triangles, and everything builds. And you're going to watch how I deconstruct the issues that real estate investors have to deal with and how I deconstruct that into a model, a framework that then you can replicate, and you'll learn it better doing it that way. And that's what the 41-page workbook is all about as well, is being able to capture those ideas in the way that I'm teaching it to you.
Okay, awesome. Well, we can't wait to have you here and welcome you with some Idaho friendliness. And if people are listening to this, not everybody's in Boise, Idaho. They can't be here in person, unfortunately. But if they're listening, they just want to know about your offerings. What's the best place for people to jump on and find out more about you?
Yeah, absolutely. I would encourage you to download one of my free training guides. There's guides on marketing and negotiation and overcoming seller objections and building your business in general. If you go to tractionrealestatementors.com and then click the button for guides, tractionrealestatementors.com, click on guides.
Perfect. Thanks so much, Tom. Appreciate you being here today. Everyone, thanks for listening. We are excited to see Tom in Boise soon. If you're listening to this in real time, we hope to see you there. And if you're not, I know that you got value today. Go and grow, and we'll catch you on the next episode.